Welcome back to this wonderful Memorial Day episode. We have a World War II veteran. His name's Jack Gutman. He's born in 1925. He's 90 years old. He's not 90 and a half, but he's 90 years old. We're just having fun there. Now, his dad signed him up to join the Navy back when he was 17. And he got trained to be a medic for the invasion of Normandy, and he landed there in between Utah and Omaha Beach. And after that invasion, he also went to Okinawa for that invasion. Now, he's dealt with PTSD for almost 66 years. He's one of the last living World War II veterans. And you'll see he's very lucid, he's a lot of fun, he's a comedian, he's a public speaker. He was recently video interviewed by the Smithsonian World War II Museum in New Orleans. So, Jack, Paula, welcome to the show.
Hi. Good. Nice to be here, and thank you for inviting me.
Well, you know what? It's always fun to talk to somebody, one, that's over 90, and two, that's a World War II veteran, because I just love the war era and the things that happened. Now, you know what? Tell me about what happened, you know what, being a 17-year-old, a medic, having to care for people on one of the bloodiest invasions that happened during World War II. What was that like?
Well, I will tell you one thing. The evening before, as the ships are coming into Normandy, and that evening, everyone is eating, they're feeding us whatever we want because we were going to go into the invasion. That evening, everyone felt pretty, you know, jovial. Some were a little somber about things. But the next day, when the invasion started, we thought the whole thing would be a piece of cake, because we were going to we came in with 5,000 ships, 45,000 landing craft, 11,000 airplanes, and 150,000 men that were going to invade Normandy. And we thought it'd be a piece of cake. Now, the key was this. The Germans had bunkers up over the beach, and they were concrete bunkers, and the planes, which they had 11,000 planes, as I said, were going over, and they were to drop the bombs and disable them. Unfortunately, there was cloud cover, and all the bombs dropped on the other side, and the invasion force coming in took the brunt of it, because all the machine guns and cannons, or whatever the guns they had, they were just mowing people down. They had a gun, a machine gun, that would shoot off 150 bullets a minute. And as the guys came down off the ramp, it was like hell. It was like a nightmare. What we thought was going to be a piece of cake turned out to be a nightmare.
Now, didn't they do things in the water that would prevent the landing crafts from getting close onto the beach?
Yes, they had these girders and all kinds of things. So normally in the invasions, we come right on up to the beach, the ramp goes down, the people come out, and we just start taking, you know, they're fighting, and then of course we, the medics, come in afterwards and we take care of the wounded. But they had these girders on the beach, I mean, right up there, and we had to be out in the water, and when we got out, you would be waist deep or right up to your chest. And unfortunately, with all the hell that broke loose, these guys panicked, a lot of guys panicked, and they jumped over the side of the ship, these landing craft, and they wound up going right straight down because they had these heavy packs. And it was, if they couldn't get the packs off, they drowned. So they never even got a chance to fight. It was just horrible. We lost so many men that it was like a horrible sight to see people screaming.
Now, as a corpsman, your job as a corpsman was to basically go around, render aid, bring people back to a landing craft that would take them back out to the hospital ship. Is that what you did?
Yes. My job was, I was going to be there temporarily because I was there to take care of the wounded, evacuate them, get them back to the ships, and they would go back to the other ships, and we would take them back to the hospital that we had set up, lots of hospitals back in England, where we would take care of them. And that's my job. And I went back after we secured the beach to take care of them. So, but that was exactly my job.
Now, you know, I can't imagine the terror that you went through with being in war, and I hope I never have to deal with that. But what kind of symptoms did you experience after the battle?
At the time, I was on adrenaline, and just it was fear, and then just moving on adrenaline, and it becomes very personal. When you got someone screaming, "Mama, Mama," and you got a guy in your arm and he's telling you, "Am I going to make it, Doc? Will I make it?" And you look at him and you know he's going to die, and you say, "You're going to make it," and it becomes so personal. And that's the problem I went through, and it stayed with me for many, many years, because between this and Okinawa, and it was just stay with me. It was just horrible.
Now, did you served in Okinawa as well as in Normandy?
We made the invasion of Okinawa, and
now,
there we lost 14,000 men in Okinawa. In Normandy, we lost 9,000 men that died. In Okinawa, it was 62,000 wounded. It was just a horrible, horrible thing.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Now, when, you know, basically my understanding is you went through some PTSD. And how long did it take you to realize that you had the symptoms and to get help?
Well, we did not know there was no such thing as post-traumatic stress disorder. All we heard of this, that it was battle fatigue and you will get over it. Unfortunately, I never got over it. My Paula asked me one time, my daughter, she asked me, what causes, what is the symptom, what do you go through, when I was writing my book? And I didn't want to go into it. I just said it's bad flashbacks. And then she said to me, your people should know what it is. So, well, I finally sat down with great emotion and wrote this down. And what I was personally was feeling, the PTSD that I went through was everything is magnified. You go through over and over again the invasion and the people dying, the mines blowing up the bodies, and you see body parts. And it was really very emotional, and everything is magnified. You hear the guys screaming over and over again. So it was like a horrible, horrible nightmare. And so drinking took part of it for me to cope with it. I became a comedian and did shows, and I did 3 shows a night, and I wish I would have done 5 so I would not have to go back to bed and sleep and get those nightmares. 66 years this went on, and I sabotaged my life, almost my marriage. So it was a horrible, horrible thing. And I tell people, don't ever try to get some help.
How did you get help?
Well, finally, after 66 years, I was at the Veterans, and I finally told the guy, this is what I'm going through. And I thought they would put me in a mental institution, but he set me up with a psychiatrist and then a therapist, and I went through 3.5 years of therapy. The first session I went through with him, it was so horrible. He took me back, and it was so bad, he said, well, Jack, we'll melt down those memories from you. They're like ice cubes, we'll melt them down. And that was the problem. And I said to him, myself, I'm not coming back. But I fought it. 3 days later, I went back. I said, I'm going to come. And I went through 3.5 years. I've never regretted it. It was the best thing that ever happened in my life.
What do you say to people who are going through that PTSD now?
I plead with them. I talk to veterans. I'll speak at different groups, and I tell them, do not hesitate to go. The veterans are open to you. They'll help you. And I tell people that I speak to that have gone through post-traumatic stress, post-traumatic stress, that didn't have to go through the war. They're going through other stresses. They need the help, and I guarantee it works. They'll have help. They'll have a happier life, and that's what I put in my book, that I want them to have a happier life. So therefore, I put it in the book that it could be for everyone, not just veterans.
Jack, thank you so much for being on the show. Thank you for your service, because without people like you that were in the service, it allows people like me to do the things I love. And for obviously people who might not like the military, allows them to say that. There's a lot that people in the military have done, and I want to thank you for your service and thank you for coming onto the show.
I thank you so much.
Now, if you would like to get a copy of Jack's book, you can go to our website. It says, One Veteran's Journey to Heal the Wounds of the War. It's about PTSD. And you want to stick with us because we have Paula Shaw who's going to talk about PTSD with veterans. So we'll be right back.